Hello guys and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. I'm Neo and let's get right to it. This is episode 14 of our Interstellar quest playthrough, and first we're gonna launch a little satellite into space. There you see my ascent. This satellite is going into a polar orbit because it's gonna be the one that's gonna allow us to communicate with the Explorer satellites that we're gonna send to Duna and Eve later on. First Duna and Eve very later on, because Eve is in a very bad position at the moment. But I can do this with Duna, so I launched the satellite here. The ascent is pretty basic, as you see. I had 2 solid rocket boosters at the site that I'm gonna be ditching right now. There we go. And for some reason they collided with each other, but never mind. And the other thing is just 2 Rockomax tanks attached to a mainsail engine here, because the mainsail is not so prone to exploding and overheating in the middle of the atmosphere. And this satellite is equipped with the new communitrons that are able to establish an omnidirectional link of 5 mm, and I've also got 2 dishes on it that can send signals way beyond Duna and Eve, or at least to Duna and Eve when they are at their furthest point in space, but we will come to that soon enough. Here my engine is starting to overheat. Maybe I did use the skipper, not the mainsail. Maybe that was my problem, but never mind. So I'm just gonna get this into a nice orbit of 1000 by 1000 kilometers and then see if I can establish the link and start sending probes out to other points of the galaxy or the universe here. And there we go. This is my satellite as it will be in space here. It's a bit wobbly there because the satellite is only 2.5 meters and the other ones are 3.5, so it's a bit wobbling here. But now let's get it set up. Let's activate all the solar panels for this thing, because of the 2 dishes this needs a lot of power. So I put 4 solar panels in that no matter on which orientation the satellite is, it can get solar power. And now let's activate one and set it for Eve. The beam's okay here. And activate the second one and set it for Duna. And as you can see, it's also within range because Duna is very near towards Kerbin at the moment. I could even get this to send to Moho here. That's good. So maybe I can send satellites to Moho in the future. And now we're gonna circularize our orbit, get our apoapse up to 1000 kilometers. That's about the point I want it to be to work perfectly. And I've also attached some radiators to this new design, because I'm not quite sure whether radiators are working in this version of the Interstellar mod or not. So I put them on here, not that in a few months time my solar panels explode because they overheat. So some radiators are with us here. And another thing that I wanted to get out now is this episode will be a short one, only about 13 or 14 minutes, because I did the satellite launches here and then realized the next launch would be the docking maneuver of my workshop to my space station. And since I wanted that to be sort of a how to dock video and an explanation that's encompassed in itself, I decided to make this video shorter, but we'll get a video out in a couple of days with the whole docking maneuver, because the whole docking on the space station took me about 40 minutes or something like that. I'm gonna shrink this down to a nice also 15 maybe 20-minute video for you to enjoy. And now that we've got this here, the apoapse, we are trying to circularize it here at apoapse to get to a 1000 by 1000 kilometer orbit, or roughly that. And as you can see, I've already got quite a few satellites here in orbit around Kerbin. If you activate all these connections, it's quite the mess here already. But, well, we need all those satellites to work. We need our satellite system around Kerbin, our satellites that send signals to the moon and Minmus, and also this satellite here that can send us a signal to Duna and Eve. And the good thing is, with the cone view activated, I can then try and see how good my cones are at Duna and at Eve, so I can guess how my connection will be and how far I need the periapse of my satellites that I'm sending there needs to be able to work perfectly, or to even get a signal. So I'm gonna zoom out here, and as you can see here at Eve, we've got quite a nice margin for Eve at the moment, and here at Duna we've even got Ike within the range of this remote satellite, so that's perfect. And now for the next launch we need way more Delta V, so we switched out the outside tanks that were solid rocket boosters. We switched them for basically the same booster I have in the middle, 2 tanks and a mainsail at the bottom. And this will be our satellite this will be our first satellite that will reach another planet in our solar system. This will go to Duna. This is the Duna Explorer. And as you can see with the Kerbal alarm clock, the next window that Kerbal alarm clock says me is quite a while away. But the good thing is that I've got more than enough Delta V, and the last launch window isn't that far gone. I believe only about 30-40 days or so since the last launch window was active or was perfect, so I can compensate for that with this little thing here. And as you can see, this was a pretty crazy and stupid long launch, and this thing wobbled like hell. That's why I pointed straight up until I reached 30 kilometers and then did this. And now let's see my satellite here. This is basically only with one of the bigger dishes, because I only need to send signals back and I don't need to send signals to more than one direction. And I've also got the Omni antenna for me to work, and there we separate our outer stages here. They will go back to Kerbin and hopefully will be recoverable. And now this satellite has a little tug on it with the Polar engine to push us out of the Kerbin system and do some maneuvering in space. And then the small engine, the LV engine, will be for orbital maneuvering once we reach Duna. But this will take quite a while. So first we're gonna circularize our orbit here to get it to a periapse of 70-80 kilometers, something like that. So we can then try to adjust the maneuver node accordingly to get this thing to Duna. So circularization is nearly done. There we go, and now we can try to add a maneuver node. I'm gonna do this in real time so I can explain. So basically we want to exit prograde out of the Kerbin system. So on the other side of Kerbin we make the maneuver, and we're just gonna go prograde here. And as you can see, this gets me with a little bit more than 1000 meters of Delta V to an apoapse that is around where Duna will be. And I've got a closest approach here, 3 million kilometers only. So this looks rather good. So I'm just gonna try to change this a little bit with a little bit more, a little bit less delta V. I can get it to 280,000 and a little bit less, 110,000. And there we go, we've got a Duna encounter with the periaps of, what's it, 24,000 or 24,000 meters. This is a maneuver of 1,100 meters per second, so this will be perfect and can be done from solely from my push or my tug here that I've created. So let's execute this maneuver and see how the tug is doing. Just a burn of a little bit over 1 minute and 30 seconds like that. I'm gonna activate my reflector again and point it towards Kerbin, because I will need this one to be able to communicate with Kerbin when I'm in deep space, so I can, well, adjust the orbit a little bit, because I need to get the periaps of Duna down before I get there, so I can be sure to be inside the influence of the dish that is pointing towards Kerbin. I could always work with the dishes set to just track the active vessel, but I decided not to do that. I decided to track the planets and work around that, because it's just more fun and a little bit more engaging and difficult if you have to do the research and stuff like that. So let's see, this is gonna take another 40 seconds, that's not too long. So let's see how my stages were recovered. They are recovered, but the following parts were too damaged. I damaged one winglet, the other thing is recovered again, and there I damaged the decoupler, oh crap, and the mainsail engine. Okay, this one is expensive, but in real life not every reusable stuff can be reused, so should be the same here, that I can't reuse everything that gets back down to the planet. But maybe in the future I just need a second parachute or something like that, because maybe that's why the engine was lost, or the other reason could be the engine got overheated while re-entering. I think I'll have to look into that and maybe design them new and different to get them back. Okay, now let's get my maneuver to below 1 meter per second. Yeah, they were at 0.2 meters per second. Perfectly done. And now we only need to make a maneuver node to adjust this one to get us into a nice Duna orbit, or to get a nice Duna periaps going. So we're gonna make a maneuver node here that's gonna be 56 days from now. Adjust it to point, I think, radial a little bit, and that's gonna get us the right separation. But we're gonna do this and the docking in the next episode. I hope I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching this episode of Kerbal Space Program. If you liked it, be sure to leave a comment or click that like button. And if you never want to miss an episode again, be sure to subscribe. I hope I'll see you guys next time.